Hello, I'm Toycat, and I have some bad news for you Fortnite players. As you can see from this graph right here, Minecraft is now officially more popular than Fortnite. The game is over, you might as well just give up and quit now, except is that really what this graph means? Is that really the message you can take from a Google Trends graph, which by the way tracks Google searches? You know, it's quite famous that when you want to play Fortnite, what you do is you load up Google, you type it in right there, and that's how you get to the game. No, that's not how either of these games work, that's not how popularity works, and also I think the concept of having a game be more popular and being a big celebration is something that probably needs to be at least spoken about, and that's what today's video is going to be diving into, which I hope you do all enjoy. But we're going to dive straight into it. There's three main parts I want to talk about here. The first is what the actual kind of numbers look like in the big war of what you might say Minecraft versus Fortnite, but also every other big game out there, and then also dive into why Google Trends is not a great graph to use for anything. This happens all the time, where because it's so easily accessible and it looks so official because it's Google after all, people make search trends of two different things and then they try to compare them, like, oh wow, look at this, it turns out more people Google Fortnite than breathing, therefore no one breathes anymore, breathing is dead, lol 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 lol. But of course that doesn't work. And then finally I wanted to talk about the fact that even if this graph was true, why it shouldn't affect your actual opinion on either of the two things, Minecraft or Fortnite, or whether it's Fortnite or being alive, or whether it's something as stupid as like PewDiePie versus Badgers. Looks like Badgers have overtaken him. Looks like this is the downfall of the biggest channel on YouTube. And I think it's interesting that we can take all of these sarcastic examples and know that, like, well, obviously there are different numbers that matter here, but then use the search results as a key way to work out, Fortnite versus Minecraft. So let's dive into exactly what Google Trends is actually measuring, because yes, it's measuring search results, which you might say like, well, I mean, the more people search for something, the more popular it must be. But obviously this is a huge simplification of when you're taking something which is 10 years old and comparing it to something which is 2 years old. There is a huge difference between the actual behavior of people and the things you need to search when it comes to both of those things. There's actually a really interesting study that's been done that proves that in a more developed country, as you likely live in if you're watching this video, in more developed countries people Google things related to the future, whereas in less developed countries things about the past or the present are more widely searched. So, you know, that also throws a spanner in the works of like, oh yeah, Google search equals popularity, right? Well, I mean, not necessarily. You might be Googling to look for Fortnite news, even if you don't care about the game, because, you know, it is a huge game doing lots of weird firsts in the gaming industry, and likewise, you might play Minecraft for 10 years having never Googled it because you went straight to Minecraft.net bypassing the search engine in the first place. So obviously, I mean, immediately anyone can say that like, oh yeah, Google search, that's not how I go to play my games. The number of hours I put into Minecraft or to Fortnite or to Apex Legends or to whatever big game you want to compare it to, the number of hours I put into that does not correlate directly with how often I Google search it, because funnily enough, Google doesn't yet at least control my access to games. But even ignoring that particular factor, there's obviously the fact that when you're searching for something, it's because you don't know about it yet. Everybody on Earth knows about breathing already. I mean, like, or everyone at least does it already. You know, no one was ever like, oh, I'm 13 years old, I guess I gotta start breathing now. No, the first thing you do as a newborn infant is you breathe, and that's why you cry, because lungs apparently suck, and it's awful to use lungs compared to just having it come into you via your umbilical cord. But you know, like, point is, when you're a new baby, you're fresh out of the womb, you start crying. It sucks. Being alive is pain, and I guess that's something a lot of you watching this video relate to, am I right? Ha ha ha. But no, more seriously, yeah, there is this genuine, thing of you don't need to search what you already know about. That's why no one searches how to breathe on, the internet, because you are already aware. You know, even though I'm quite a big advocate for Minecraft, as you might work out from this channel, I really like the game. Been playing it for, like 7 years in this one world that you see in the background. Even though I really like Minecraft, I'll admit more people breathe, more people are alive than play Minecraft. Those are just true facts. But yet Google Trends won't show that, because Google Trends is showing growth of a thing, at its best. Even once you remove all of those other negative factors, Google Trends shows the growth of a thing, and things grow faster when they don't have much to grow from. If I earned £100 last year and I double my money and I earned £200 this year, that's still not particularly great compared to if I earned 100 million last year and I went up only 10% to 110 million. Measuring growth is really important, especially in the world of technology that we live in. So many companies focus on growth over profits. I get that, and tech companies can arguably include games, but that doesn't mean that growth matters more than overall, installed base already. So yeah, there you go. That's why Google Trends is not a great way to determine popularity. So let's actually talk about how you do determine popularity. And when it comes to major games like Minecraft and Fortnite, the biggest ways, besides doing the in-game surveys, and we do have ways of measuring that, is to use the numbers put out by the companies themselves, either given to the press or given to the shareholders of the various companies, in this case Epic Games and Microsoft. Because here's the thing, right? Game companies cannot lie to their shareholders, and even lying to the media about something like, oh, the Minecraft players, there's 189 million people playing in the last month. The reason you can't just make up numbers is, even besides the fact that lying in a publicly traded company is a big no-no, because people might buy shares related to that. But even if we leave that to the side, obviously you don't want to put out fake information, and therefore we can probably take the word for, whether it's Riot Games of League of Legends, whether it's Epic Games of Fortnite, or whether it's Microsoft with Minecraft, we can probably trust the numbers they're throwing out there. So what are the numbers related to Minecraft and Fortnite and League of Legends and various other games? Well, here's the thing. Minecraft is actually in the competition for most players every month. It's actually competing with a bunch of games that are free to play. Minecraft is only free if you have an Xbox Games Pass. 99.9% of all Minecraft players paid for Minecraft, which makes these numbers more impressive. But first of all, I guess if we want to be fun with this, so you want to see how many sales Fortnite's made compared to Minecraft? Here's the sales of Fortnite, here's the sales of Minecraft. I don't know what the numbers of Fortnite actually are, but it's very low because Fortnite Battle Royale, the thing that makes the game so popular, is free to play, whereas Minecraft costs money, and therefore free to play is not buying something, but buying something is buying something. What a crazy statistic right there. But to dive into the important ones right here, we can see that Fortnite, their biggest monthly player count was 78.3 million. That was August of 2018. It's been going down since then, so they haven't released any direct numbers. All they said was that 250 million people have registered accounts in total. So that's what we know. But the number of monthly players is going roughly down. We know Apex Legends had 50 million players in its first month, and that's also gone slightly down as, it seems as though Battle Royale as a whole is a slightly shrinking genre. It's consolidating and shrinking at the same time. Whereas if you look at Farmville, you can see that there are 83 million monthly players. Minecraft has the highest of 91 million monthly players that goes up every single time, and is therefore the most played game of any game that has released its numbers in 2019. However, it is worth noting that League of Legends released its numbers last year at the same time as Fortnite, and they had 110 million players at that same point. So presumably they should have updated that, or maybe they do it once a year every August. We don't know for sure, but there is probably a similar, if not slightly larger number of players playing League of Legends and playing Minecraft. However, the gap between them and the games like the Apexes and the Fortnite is a little bit higher than that. But the truth is, they're all still games played by tens of millions of players every single month. Does it matter if it's 70 or 80 or 90 or 100 or 60 or 50? Do these numbers really make huge differences when there's still tens of millions of people playing? They might to you, but they're not as huge as a Google Trends graph might look, because as I said, Google Trends can measure growth, and growth can be in triple digits for your first year of operations. They can be in double digits for your second, and maybe even triple digits even then. And that's why nowadays when you see the graph, it looks a lot closer, because that's how the actual race has always been. The games have always been played pretty similar amounts. There's never been a single month that Fortnite has been more played than Minecraft, as best we can tell. And because they've always been close, it's we can just kind of tell that lots of people play both games. And I don't want to be the guy who's like, hey, can't we just admit both games are great? But honestly, right, we're comparing games from entirely different genres with entirely different play styles. Sometimes you might sit down to play Minecraft for 5 minutes or for 5 hours. Fortnite has a much more rigid play schedule where you play a game, that game is going to last 20 minutes if you do well, right? There's there's very different play styles, they're very different genres, very different everything, aimed at different audiences even to some extent. And yeah, people like to call this a renaissance. I really do like to just see it as oh yeah, well, I mean, realistically, Minecraft was at one point competitor for #1 game, because Minecraft has been the #1 game on YouTube since almost its release, and there have been many games that have taken the second spot, and there's been a lot of growth in those industries. A lot of Minecraft YouTubers quit. The ones who didn't really care about the game anyway, they moved over to Fortnite or to other games and whatnot, and I think that is the reason that the Minecraft community on YouTube might be stronger. People like to say oh, it's because YouTubers like PewDiePie have played it, but I mean, as we know, badgers are more popular than PewDiePie anyway. But no, they are jumping on the train as well. The people who make these big tournaments for Minecraft or are starting Minecraft servers, they are jumping on the trend, and that's fine. It's a big trend. It's one that's very exciting, but that doesn't mean that they're the reason for the trend. It means that the trend has always been there, and people are just realizing it now that it's cool, now that it's meme-worthy, and you see the cursed images and all those sorts of things, and that is just fine. But since we're talking about popularity anyway, let's talk about, even if you could prove with graphs that oh yeah, Fortnite was the biggest game, or any of the other games were the biggest games, would that change anything? If Minecraft had only 50 million players or 9 million players in the month, would that mean that it's officially dead and it's not cool and it's lame and you should stop playing? And the obvious answer to that question is no. But why is the answer to that question no? Why is this whole thing a fun internet joke rather than an actual war? And the reason for that is because, I mean, obviously popularity isn't the factor that decides anything anyway. Even if we could prove using this graph that Minecraft was now the biggest game for the first time and that before all these other games taken over, I don't think that should affect how you you play the game. I think if 900 million people were playing, Minecraft every month, unless you are big into the multiplayer servers and you could take advantage of that larger online population, it doesn't really matter because Minecraft is a beautiful game because you don't need to play with other people. It doesn't need a player population of, millions or tens of millions or even thousands of people. You could be the one person playing Minecraft in the world and it wouldn't affect your fun playing the game. Popularity isn't the most important measure on this thing and really in life in general. A lot of the times you can get caught up in the perception that it does. If you have it, then you love having it. If you don't have it, then you feel like it's the one thing you need in the world to feel whole. But no, popularity is just a measure of how many people like a thing. If it was the key measure, then we decide football contests, or I guess sport contests as a whole, by being like, which team has more fans? Looks like they're the best team this year. No, the reason they compete against each other is because that's the thing you're measuring. The China football team, the Chinese football team that plays in the World Cup, I assume they have one, I'm pretty sure, has more fans than France's football team, probably by a factor of 20 or so. But is France dead? Is the France football team dead low and not even worth watching? No, because obviously that's not the determination of quality. Except in the world of government and politics, where it really does come down to popularity in the end. Like, if you're not popular, you don't get elected, you don't get to be in your thing. With that big exception, the popularity of something shouldn't be the determining factor in whether, you care or like about it. Just because someone isn't the most popular person, you don't need to be like, oh, they're objectively worse to hang around with. If you enjoy their company, that's fine. If you enjoy Minecraft's company, it shouldn't matter how many other people play it. If you enjoy Fortnite, a lot of people as a Minecraft YouTuber, I could just trash Fortnite all day, like, do the dab, lame, it's for 13-year-old kids or whatever. No, that's not the thing that concerns me here, because the popularity isn't what determines how much fun you or I can have with it. The reason I like Minecraft is not because it's popular. I mean, that helps this YouTube channel be a thing that functions and helps me justify spending, the dozens of hours that it takes to do weird things like this recycling project, or like the, returning the end into the overworld, or all these different weird little things that I'm focusing on. I can justify them more because of YouTube, and popularity helps me as someone, I guess, who to some extent makes a living on people knowing that me and my videos exist and hopefully choosing to watch them. Obviously for me there is some value to this, but for most people, I mean, does the popularity of Minecraft affect your ability to play it? No, it does not. Does it affect your ability to find other people who enjoy it? Probably not, because even if there was literally 100 Minecraft players in the world, you could still get along with some of them. But we're not talking about hundreds or thousands or even hundreds of thousands. We're talking about how many tens of millions each game has, and the numbers are so staggeringly similar in the end that the only reason for this debate is if you like, following the sports teams and being like, yeah, the team's overtaken. But if you did like to be like that, if you do like to follow objective popularity anyway, then guess what? Minecraft's been in the lead the whole time. You've always been on the winning team, unless you were on the losing team, in which case you were always on the losing team. There isn't even really a fun debate to be had, even if you like following it as a competitive sport. And so, yeah, I hope overall this video has helped you in some way, whether it's in something small, just realizing like, oh yeah, well this graph doesn't mean too much, and now you can correct your friends and be smart and be like, well, do you realize you're actually, posting dead meme, not even accurate meme? Or maybe it just makes you realize that the popularity of something shouldn't determine how much fun you have with a thing, and it shouldn't determine whether you think something is cool or worthwhile or whatever, because, there are so many different things you can choose to do. So many things are popular and bad, so many things are unpopular and good, and so many things are right somewhere in between. And, maybe that's a thing that this realizes from this, or maybe you just like hearing me talk about how PewDiePie and Badgers are of similar popularity. I don't know. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video in some way. If you liked it, you can like this video and let me know, because I am somewhere in the medium of popularity, and hopefully you consider me somewhere in the medium or above of quality. If you want to see more videos like this, or just whatever's going on in this survival world, which a lot of people apparently do, then that's a thing you can see by subscribing and hopefully hitting that bell so you see more of these videos daily on your homepage. Thank you very much for watching this video though, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.